Oh, hello, my name is Aaron Shalansky, formerly Sidransky, before my grandfather came to the US. And I'm here in Poland researching my ancestry, who I never knew. We're now in Augustov. My grandfather, Max Sidransky, was living in this area. He didn't die here, he died in the US. It's quite possible one of these gravestones is Sidransky, someone he knew, someone close to him. This is all that's left, only a few gravestones. The Germans came in here and destroyed everything. I have one ancestry from Ragrod, 10 kilometers from here, and I just found out that they are part of the same congregation, actually, which is kind of neat. So maybe my family, they actually knew each other. Who knows? We were speaking with the local historian for Ragrod, and he was telling me all about the town, how the Jews lived, where they came from, when they came there. They were bakers, they were tailors, they had their own little businesses. They weren't segregated, maybe they had their own little neighborhoods around the synagogue. There has always been, since I've been alive and before me, a large disconnect between me and my parents and the old generation. I never knew my grandparents, and my parents, their parents didn't speak to them much about the old land, whether it's because they wanted to forget about that part of their life or whatever the reason. There's always been a disconnect, and I never knew anything about my roots. Either did my parents, really, except for their surnames and a couple names of small towns, which is what brings me here to Ragegrod and Augustau. I'm looking to see how my ancestors lived. Not so much from a religious aspect, but more of just simple social life. I know how I lived my life. How did they live their life? What did they do? What was their job? What kind of things did they do for fun? Were they happy? Were they sad? Why did they feel necessary to leave, to go to America? Was it that bad? Was it because of the pogroms, or was it because of other reasons? I just found out today. I thought that the main catalyst pushing them out of Poland was pogroms. But although that was probably influential, it seems that at least in these small towns where my ancestors were from, there weren't pogroms around here. It was mostly economical. It was these areas were close to the border with Germany, and apparently it was easy to cross the border into Germany, where you could then continue to the United States. First of all, fill an empty hole, an emotional hole, a factual hole inside of me. I think other cultures, Italian or Spanish, some people have lived in the same place for many generations, so they know how their ancestors lived. With me and my family, we haven't had that because of the World War II, and even before that with the Russians, with our people being moved and pushed around and segregated. We never really knew how our ancestors lived. So this is kind of like filling the gaps. Now I kind of have a better understanding of my roots, of where I come from. I'm sure when I tell my parents and my relatives, it'll be more than satisfying for them. Especially my mother, she would tell me all the time when her father came here, she never asked about his life here because it always seemed that he didn't want to talk about that. He wanted to forget about that. But she regretted it after he died. She always tells me, I wish I would have asked him because I have no idea how he lived. What was his life like? What did he do? And she had no idea. This has been a very educational and spiritual journey so far for me because I'm finally getting some of those answers, and I could pass those on to my mother and everybody else in the family, and I think it's going to be a great thing. Poland is the 41st country I've been in the last 3.5 years, and I've been on some amazing adventures. I've trekked through the Amazon jungle, I've climbed volcanoes in Colombia and the Philippines, which were all amazing experiences for me. But this is entirely distinctive from that because this is about my roots. This is more spiritual. This is understanding my past and my history and, in a sense, who I am, because you are your past, where you come from, that kind of is you in a certain sense. So it's apples and oranges comparing this to any of those amazing things I've done in other countries. I still wanted to come here because even though I can do that, I want to be here. I want to be here, at the actual gravestones of possible ancestors of mine. To smell the air, to smell the grass, to see the lake of Ragegrode and to see where the German border was in the distance. Those are things you can't just, get online. So being here is great. A great decision. My grandfather, Philip Orkowski, he was lucky enough to have emigrated before the Nazis came to America. After he came to America, my mother would tell me stories how they would continue to receive letters from his siblings, from other relatives who stayed in Poland. But after the Nazis, the letters just, like overnight, they stopped. So my mother says, we all pretty much know what happened. It was obvious that the letters just ceased. So it's very likely that being that they were from Rygod, that they went through Augustow, through Bialystok, to possibly Treblinka.